This is Believing Buckeyes. I'm Brian Browning with All-American quarterback Chindy Chekwa. Our Buckeyes took on the Akron Zips this past weekend. They took care of business, winning that game 52-6. Jim, you actually went to the game with your son, with your oldest son. I mean, you was there. How was it, man? How was the atmosphere, man?
The atmosphere, it was good. It was solid. You know, week one, everybody was excited. Obviously, not the loudest game. You're not going to get the loudest game versus Akron, right? But we made some noise. Like people was pumped up. First half started a little bit slow, so quieted down the fans a little bit. But there's a lot of plays out there that the Buckeyes made that got people excited. So started the season off right. That might be the last game I go to this season, but we'll see.
We'll see, man. You keep making that claim, man. It's too early, man. You never know. Hey, but how was it though? You was also there for the historic Archie Griffin getting to dot the I in Script, Ohio. I mean, I know, like you said, the game, the fans was probably a little, not their, let's say not their loudest. But that had to be an outstanding and fantastic moment to catch, right?
Yeah, it was. And I would say we stood up and clapped, and we were loud for that for sure. Archie, a legend, being able to celebrate just his legendary status, and capped it off. You see the two statues being brought out, one at the Rose Bowl and here at the university. Big moment, exciting moment, and I think that got the juices flowing a little bit. So
yeah, that's a definitely legendary moment. As you know, everyone doesn't get to dot the I, so getting to catch Archie do it, very, very big time there. But yeah, let's get into the game, man. Let's kind of start talking about our Buckeyes, and I guess kind of start off talking about the things we did like. And obviously, I think the biggest thing is the quarterback competition, right? Will Howard went out there, stood tall in that game, looked very comfortable and poised. What's your thoughts on Will Howard and his performance and how he just kind of looked in his first game in the Scarlet and Gray?
Yeah, so I think Will Howard was as advertised, at least from my perspective. So, obviously we spent a lot of time kind of breaking down, what he's been throughout his years at Kansas State, what he brings to the table. And I thought he brought just that. He brought ability to command the huddle, to call out the blitzes, recognize what the defense is giving him, make the right checks, make the right decision, get the ball placed in the right spot with accuracy, be on time. A lot of the detailed things that are very, very important for the quarterback position, but they were also very inconsistent last year that we experienced. So he was just what we're looking for, just what we needed in his first game. Not perfect, but threw a lot of passes accurately. And those that he missed a little bit, it wasn't like egregious, right? It was like, it was a regular miss. It was still a chance for the receiver to bring it down, and you had something to build off. So, I liked it. We got a little bit of everything too. We have, running the zone read. We had him throwing some quick passes. We had him throwing some deep passes. Right. We had a design quarterback run that was successful. So it was good to see the different ways that the coaches have been talking about it using him, right? Actually go out there and execute that and really get a feel for what the identity is going to be behind Will Howard as a leader. What is your kind of your perspective of what you saw?
Yeah, I think it just looks real smooth, man. He looks real comfortable. Obviously, he has played a lot of college football, and due to that experience, we always thought he would get the nod, and it showed, right? The moment didn't look too big for him. At no time did it look like he was sped up by the game. Obviously, we're only playing Akron, right? But as we stated, the game kind of started off to a slow start, right? We had some drops early on. We had some procedure penalties, things of that nature. So, we wasn't necessarily just lighting up the scoreboard right away. But one thing that was consistent was his play, right? Looked like he was on poise with things. He was doing the right things, making the right decisions. Myself, whenever I'm evaluating a quarterback, especially one that you just, you don't know what you're getting, what is the timing looking like, right? So, is he holding on the ball too long, or is he getting out, it looks like, with the rhythm of the offense? And he definitely did that throughout the day. Like we call it, he stepped up in the pocket, made some plays with his feet when some things broke down. Not too much, right? We're just playing Akron, right? We want him kind of taking unnecessary hits, but I think he did a great job at essentially managing the game, looking at things the right way, and basically getting it done. Biggest thing he did, no turnovers, right? Threw three touchdowns on the day, no interceptions, no fumbles. So he always got the ball to the right people, which is always very important when it comes to building the game, winning games, getting ready for the season.
Yeah, he had one bad play, 2-minute offense right before halftime. They got some pressure on him. He was trying to make something out of nothing, threw the ball backwards to run it back. So they had to jump on it. that's one that you don't expect to see him do again. He's a veteran player. He had to know instantly that was a big mistake. The other thing there was he had a couple misses, and these are the type of misses that are okay, right? These are the ones that like nobody really notices, really, but when they go back in the film room, they'll be able to build off. There was I think maybe on the first drive, third down, he recognized the blitz. This is what I loved about him. Is because he recognized what defense was giving them, recognized the blitz, called out the blitz, got to the hot read, right? Didn't lead Mecca Ibuka like he should have, which it could have been a catch and run. Threw it a little bit behind him, ends up being an incomplete pass. That happened like 2 times. Okay. But what you like is on time, right decision, right call, right person. And there was still a chance for Mecca to come down with that ball. It was a good play up on the defense. But when they get back to the film room, both of them are going to be able to see that and be like, I could have ran this a little bit better. You could have led me a little bit better outside. And now this is something that you get to build on moving forward, right? Instead of, having some of the inconsistencies that we saw last year where you're just really just trying to get to the point where this offense is running smooth and collected. So, yeah, I thought he had a really solid week 1 performance. And also he's playing in front of more fans than he's ever played in front of. I mean, I know he's a veteran guy, but there's a certain level of pressure that comes with playing for Ohio State in the first game, even for a guy who's been in college football for a while, right? Was not affected by that in any way, shape, or form. And we saw him scramble. We saw, Akron had some good schemed up blitzes.
Yeah, they did.
And he was able to escape, get out of the pocket, and make something happen. So we saw a little bit of everything, right, in week 1, which is good because you want to continue to build up. I call these preseason games. So you want to be able to experience those things. You even want if possible, as long as it doesn't hurt you, the bad decision thrown behind you. You want it to happen now, right? So it doesn't happen on October 12th, or it doesn't happen in one of those big games. So but what I do want to get to, and I tweeted this at halftime because, usually in week 1, I give grace because I have week 1 games. We played inferior opponents. We made mistakes. It was a little bit more competitive than we expected. Right. But, after last year, I don't give as much grace, right, for certain things, right? And one of the things that we said we wanted to see was a dominant run game, right? We wanted to see a dominant run game. And in the first half, it felt a little reminiscent of last season where it seemed like guys weren't identifying the right people to block, right? Some guys were whiffing a little bit on the block. The offensive line didn't seem like completely in sync. And I was ready to sound the alarm. I'm ready to sound the alarm on the run game. Before I give my take on it, I want to get your take on just the first half and then the full experience of what you saw in the run game.
Yeah. So first off, surprise right before kickoff, right? We learned that our starting left guard, who was essentially a 4-year starter, and Diamond Jackson, is not playing, right? So it's kind of like, okay, what's going on there? And obviously we knew they had selected Tegra to take that right guard position. And then now that Donovan Jackson's not playing, like, okay, who's going to step up in this role? And they went with Austin Sherfold. And he, to be honest, it was his first start. First time out, he was, out there first time he was out there for essentially, had to play a complete game at that guard position. And I would agree, at the first couple of drives, it did appear that it was just like you say last year. We was taking care of the guys up front. Well, on the second level, we was missing. Like, it looked like we, was kind of, not quite identifying guys. But then when I kind of took a step back and I kind of looked at it again, it was more like the first quarter that just kind of took place. Second quarter, they kind of was in sync as the offensive line unit. But as we know, it takes more than the offensive line unit to have big runs. You need your tight ends. You need your wide receivers to kind of step in and get their guys as well. And some of that was lacking. Some of that was lacking, and it kind of starts to fall. Once again, falls on the offensive line. Sometimes it's rightfully so. But I was looking at one clip. It was just like, man, if, I'm not going to, say guys' names, but this guy get his guy. The offensive line did a dominant job. This is most likely a 50, 60-yard run touchdown, and we had a guy completely whiff on the second level and not even, kind of remotely slow a guy down. So I was like, well, if that one play takes place, and this is early in the second quarter, if that run takes place, there's no questions about the run game, most likely, other than some spot on stuff early on. But it doesn't really get to click into the second half. And then as the game went on, I think, they kind of anchored in some of the veteran guys. You kind of start to see more of the experience. I believe our offensive tackles played very well throughout the entire game. And I think Seth had his first start at center here at Ohio State. So he had some things to kind of shake out early in the game. But in the second half, they kind of, I feel like they kind of did the job and was able to kind of get guys moved, got to the second level where they needed to be, and was able to kind of show their dominance over Akron when it came to the line of scrimmage. So it kind of went as the game went. I feel like they started off a little slow. All right. Akron was fired up, and I think Akron did a great job at coming with a game plan. They didn't just line up and get beat up by Ohio State. They had some wrinkles, especially offensively and defensively, to kind of put us on our heels a little bit, and rightfully so, right? I hope they do, right? And I think they kind of, like I say, eventually kind of anchored in and got the job done overall as an offensive line unit. But yeah, we'll see. Western Michigan will be a different test next week for sure.
Yeah, and when you think about it, think about Akron's mindset going into the game. Like we're gonna do everything to disrupt this team. We're gonna put our game plan together. We're gonna just try to see if we can stay with them early and see if we can make some noise, right? On the flip side, Ohio State's approach, specifically with the run game, especially because of the inconsistency last year with the run game, is that you have to think that we're gonna do what we do and we're gonna stick to it. Regardless if it's going right or whatever, we're going to do what we do. We're going to stick to it. This is going to give us something to continue to build off. And the one thing I like about the game is that in the first quarter, there was some struggles, right? Offensive line, but they stuck to running the ball. They continue to run the ball. And the identity to me is set, right? And that's one thing. If there's a criticism to carry from last year where I was really looking for, because I wasn't so much looking for Ohio State to blow out. I expected it to be somewhat of a lopsided game, but I'm very specific as to how this game should be won. It should be won doing what you do, right? I don't need you to out-scheme Akron, give me a bunch of, schemed up plays, get some guys wide open, whatever, because good teams are going to see it on film and they're going to plan for those types of things, right? I want you to be good at what you do. And it seemed both defensively and offensively, they stay limited to doing the things that they do, that they're likely going to do, like their 1A, 1B type plays, and continue to do it, and was able to, be dominant in that way. So I liked what I saw in the ability to stay consistent with the run game, establish that run throughout the season, because they have to do it. It's like it's like Michael Jordan, Kobe, or whatever. They're gonna shoot the mid-range fadeaway. They're gonna shoot it over and over again, and you can't stop. You're just not gonna be able to stop. That's what I want to see from this team. We're going to run inside zone. We're going to run outside zone. We're going to run some of these pin and pull running plays, and you can't stop. And then we're going to have our counters to it, right? We're going to have the RPO. So, I like that they stuck with it. He definitely broke through. The other thing was, we had a few young players, some receivers, Jeremiah Smith, that started the game. And it wasn't just, we talked about the offensive line. It wasn't just the offensive line that started slow. A couple of drop passes early. That play, I think the second play of the game, I believe, on offense, they ran a screen pass.
Wide receiver screen.
Wide receiver screen. And I'm at the game, and I have where I'm sitting, I have the perfect view of how it was being blocked, where the defense was at. And man, that could have went for a touchdown. That wide receiver screen could have went for 6, and that would have been a great way to build the confidence for a young player, get an easy pass, easy catch, whatever. And he drops it, right? But was still able to bounce back and have a good game. What do you see from the receivers from your perspective?
I've seen that Jeremiah Smith is he's really he had a lot of hype around him.
Yeah,
he was worth the hype, man. I mean, the guy looked fantastic, right? I mean, obviously, like you say, started the game off with a drop, right? And then after that, he goes on, catch 2 touchdowns. I got 6 catches for 92 yards. And he had an outstanding game, right? The first touchdown, the back shoulder fade, where he, obviously he had to, contort his body to turn around, catch the ball, get his feet in. Touchdown is just how are you ever going to be able to stop that against a guy that size? Probably not, right? So I think he came as advertised. And I think the most impressive thing about him is obviously, I do the post-game show for a cable company here. And I'm watching the post-game show, and he was one of the players that came to the podium. Will Howard came up. Jeremiah Smith came up. Will Howard, obviously, like we say, starting for, I think this was his 28th start in college football. And the show, talk like a pro, real clean, polished type of conversation. Jeremiah Smith, first game, right, in college football, he goes to the podium. And essentially, he said he speaks the same way, right? I mean, he's answering everything right. They kind of go into the drop. Like, obviously you had to drop early, and you showed just confidence. You're just like, that's football. You got to keep playing. You got to play 4 quarters, and everything's not going to, go out, shake out the right way. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he just looked the par, right? That's a guy that's really ready for this level, of play. And obviously you have a drop, and then you just kind of keep going right back to him. It just shows like, hey, we got confidence in you. You had this confidence in yourself, and obviously it shows on the field. And then we had our veteran guys making plays as well. Cardell Tate, I believe, on his touchdown run. This for me, haven't been talking about enough. But he made like the corner and the safety like tackle each other, like just running by him. Like once he kind of cut up field there, and we know what type of talent we have there. So I think the receivers, once again, we got a lot of big name guys, and they made big time plays, and they showed again.
Cardell Tate, another receiver who had an early drop, comes back, gets a simple curl route, and takes it for 6. It's like the talent is off the charts, but I think what's different this year, and not that the prior years didn't have this, but I think it's to another level this year, is just the leadership and professionalism of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You get some of that with guys who were there here last year, who were leaders, who are now back again for another year, and it's at every single position. At every single position, you have a guy who's a clear leader. I think one of the most inexperienced positions is probably the linebacker position. Cody Simon didn't play in the game, but he's a captain on this team. You look at the safety position, you have 2 guys who played a lot of football, 2 real leaders there, the cornerbacks, defensive line, just across the entire team. And this is why this team is so talented to me, because it's talent and leadership both, and it's depth. Right, so they got leadership and talent in every position. They got depth in multiple positions, and that goes all the way up to the coaching staff. We talk about it a lot, but the acquisition of Chip Kelly, the ability for Ryan Day to take a little bit of a step back and be more of a leader, you can see the results. And there's no better way for me to like show that representation than just looking at the special teams.
Special teams, that's right.
Special teams. Oh my God, like a play, something that we typically just take for granted. We just haven't seen the level of special teams play in the last 3 or 4 years.
3 years, right. 3 or 4 years. I mean, let's talk about the stats. I mean, obviously, Brandon Ennis was the punt returner. He had 60 yards of punt returns just in this single game, right? These numbers are kind of outstanding here. The 2021, the 2022, and 2023 season in total, each season we only had about 75 yards in punt return for the season, in each season. And then 2021 we had like 130 yards in punt. So essentially, and obviously it's like, how many returns did we actually have? It was more than 1 or 2, right? I mean, but the thing is like you stated, essentially, not we've been taking the play for granted. Ohio State has been taking the play for granted, right? They've just been lining up there for punts and essentially just catching them and getting the ball back to the offense. So this really just going to the effort that he showed single-handedly in Saturday's performance lets you know that there's a different attitude, a different mindset when it comes to special teams, that we're not just going to just line up and get through the play, that we're actually going to attack on special teams as well, which is huge. It's needed. Yeah. It might be. You never know when one to pop and change the statue of a game.
And the hidden yards that you get from a punt return, from net punt, really can be a difference between winning and losing. We rarely talk about it. But when you play a team like Michigan, the discrepancy when it comes to punt and punt return could be huge, and we never consider that being the difference in the game, right? But there's so many hidden yards that happen on the special teams. And it seems like this year, we're going to be prepared to be able to negate that, as it's been a challenge for us in the past few years. Get into the defense.
Let's talk about
the
defense, man. Let's talk about the guys, the silver bullets.
To me, there's a lot of big plays on defense. A lot of big plays. But the guy who got it started, Denzel Burke. Right. Cover 3. It looked like a cover 3. Guy runs kind of like an out route or whatever. Kind of behind the backers in front of Denzel. Bobbles the ball a little bit, and Denzel just jumps in the air and takes the ball from him. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the type of play, right? Because I felt like maybe not so much last year, but maybe even last year or even the year before, a lot of those would have been pass breakups. Like my big hit or something, ball comes out, whatever, a great play by the defensive back. But he's like taking it to another level. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was another play where he looked like he was trying to get another pick.
He didn't quite get there.
And he couldn't quite get there. But guys going after the ball, setting the tone, ripping the ball out of the hands. And then you see at the end of the game, Gabe Powers going up and it looked really athletic, going up and catching the ball, taking it for 6. Lathan Ransom had a
fumble,
a fumble recovery, take it back for a touchdown. All these turnovers in week 1, when last year we didn't see a cornerback interception. I don't know if we saw one all year or whatever, but they only had what? How many turnovers last year?
Yeah, so last season they only had 11 turnovers for the season, which sounds kind of crazy. I mean, obviously, that's less than 1 turnover per game, which is obviously not ideal. Yeah. But we understand our defense was kind of working on something last year, right? I mean, obviously everything around here kind of revolved around the Michigan game, right? So they was kind of working on something, right, to kind of get themselves in a better position for that, playing, making sure that they're not giving up big plays, playing as a defensive line, playing through the offensive line, kind of really trying to dominate and squeeze pockets. But this year, we kind of back to some ways. They're more active at getting to the ball, like you stated, with the turnovers, and obviously scoring 2 of them, which is huge. 5 sacks against Akron. Obviously, not earth-shattering numbers, but for the season last year, we only had 28 sacks. Right. And everybody was kind of like, well, what's going on? Like, our whole defensive line was kind of doing this squeeze-to-pocket situation. Yeah. They're just kind of playing heavy through the offensive line. On Saturday, we kind of got back on the edge. You seen JT kind of kick that off with a sack. Getting back on the edge, winning fast, and being disruptive and taking down quarterbacks and things of that nature. So it's good to see, man. And obviously, Jim Knowles kind of look like a plan, right? Put his defense what he expects and how he expects them to grow. And with a veteran group like this, I mean, he was able to kind of, let them get after it a little bit, and it showed statistically for the defense Saturday as well.
Yeah, a lot of great plays on that defense. I want to remind people about, because this guy, I feel like, does not get the level of attention or he doesn't get the level of attention he deserves. And I think part of it is because that Georgia game a few years back gave him a big play, and people just made that his entire career. Lathan Ransom is a dog. He's been a dog since he was just a special teams player. I think maybe his freshman year. He's been a dog every time he steps on that field. And I just want people to open up their eyes and pay attention. Just pay attention to Lathan Ransom, man, because he's all over the field. He's a disruptive player, and he's going to be a big player for us. But a young guy, and, I was really paying close attention to those linebackers because we had a few young ones, and Cody Simon was out, so you got to see all of them play, right? Alvaro Reese, man, we've talked about him a few times. We talked about him a few times, man.
He's coming up, right?
Oh, my God. Dude is all over the field, man. He's all over the field. He's a big guy sitting in the middle of the field, and he was able to come in there and play that Mike linebacker position. He's probably getting the calls in the helmet. Probably, I don't know who it was exactly, but
they said Sonny Styles took that over this week.
Sonny Styles took it over.
Sonny Styles took that over this week with Cody being out.
But Reese was balling, man, and I'm interested to see how that linebacker position unfolds in terms of how they continue the rotation. I thought they had a good rotation, but obviously they had one guy out. C.J. Hicks did good in pass rush. Wasn't as great, change of direction, playing off the ball as much. But when it came to rushing the passer, he was superb.
Yeah, that's what he do. Yeah,
that's what he do, man. So we get a heavy dose of that, and a heavy dose of Alvaro Reese playing out there, man. I think those guys are gonna be really good for us on that defense.
Yeah, that's right. I want to shout out, like you said, Lathan Ransom led the team with 9 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and obviously, like we stated, picked up a fumble, scored a touchdown on that as well. But real quick, this Saturday, we have Western Michigan coming to town. They are currently 0-1. They played Wisconsin week 1 and actually had the lead. So they took the lead in the fourth quarter against Wisconsin after running a fake punt that got them in great position to score. So we're talking about a team that's usually, top of the line when it comes to MAC teams and their program. What are you thinking about Western Michigan coming to the shoe, and what are you expecting for us to kind of, I guess, keep improving on when we catch this Saturday real quick here?
Preseason game number 2. Same formula. Dominating the run game, get Will Howard to, be able to do some runs, do some RPO stuff, some quick passes, etc. Get the ball to the playmakers. You'll have a few deep ball opportunities here and there. You get to the red zone. Obviously, you got a guy you could just throw the ball up to.
That's
score. Right. And then on defense, same formula. Get them to third down and long. Let those pass rushers go after the quarterback and go create some havoc, create some turnovers. So I feel like it's the same approach from us.
Mm-hmm.
You just expect a big jump between week 1 and week 2 when it comes to execution, and you expect them to start faster in week 2. At least that's my expectation.
Yeah, and like you said, I just want to see him start the game off faster and then have opportunity for some other quarterbacks to get some opportunities to play, because once again, we don't want this whole season to be on one guy's shoulder, just for the experience of it. Get Devin Brown, whoever that third guy is, Julian Sand, Lincoln Klingholz, whoever that third guy is, get them some plays as well, just so they can kind of start gaining some of that experience.
Would you want to see Julian Sand or Lincoln come in second this week if there's an opportunity, or do you still think the pecking order is just stay the same, Devin Brown and then the next guy?
I mean, Devin Brown has been here, and I still think he has a little bit something, right? He has a little bit something in his tank. So, and he played last week. I think he had an opportunity for a touchdown. He kind of missed his deep ball there. So I want to see, he need to play as well. I want to see him play. I'm not trying to get him out that 2 position. Not quite yet. He should have the experience. Hopefully he's still learning and gaining some things there, so he can kind of make that jump on the field. Get a little bit more comfortable on the field out of Devin Brown before we just kind of, put the third guy in. But it all starts with a fast start. We can get that fast start, then we can play more guys and see how.
Yeah, I agree. If Will Howard was to go down, Devin Brown's going to play. So let's get him as many reps as possible, and let's really solidify that second quarterback, or let's really know if he's going to be the second guy. The only way we really know is he's got to play. He's got to play for you to move on to the next. To move on to the freshman, you really got to let this next guy play and really know whether or not this is going to be the guy. So
that's for sure. That's for sure. But we'll catch you guys later this week. As always, we're gonna end our show with
a Go
Bucks. Talk to you guys soon.
Go Bucks.